All right, let's take a look at this one. This is another compound. And again, we want to take a look at what makes up this compound because we need to identify if it is an ionic compound or a molecular compound. So we can see we've got our first capital letter there, and that's it, capital C. And immediately after that is another capital letter, so it's the beginning of another element, so that's C and a lowercase l. Sometimes it's hard to determine if this is a capital I, but hopefully you'll have a font that will allow you to determine that this is indeed a lowercase l. So it's capital C, which is the first element, and a capital C lowercase l as our second element. Let's find them on the chart. So you can see we have our capital C up there, and we've got our capital C and lowercase l there. 1, 2. You'll notice that they both fall to the right-hand side of this line, meaning that they are both nonmetals. And when it comes to nonmetals, they are not going to just give away their electrons. They are going to want to keep their electrons. So as a compromise, you can think of this as a compromise. They're going to share their electrons. We call that a covalent bond. And as a result, this is a molecular compound because molecular compounds are created through covalent bonds. So, great. How do we name this thing? We start off the same way. Let's take a look at just what these two elements are. So capital C stands for carbon. So I'm going to write down carbon here. Carbon. Sorry, I'm trying to write this on a screen, so it's not the best writing there. Carbon. And Cl, which we saw before in the other video there, is going to be chlorine. Now again, don't forget, we got to change chlorine, the ending of the second element, to indicate that this is indeed part of a compound. So we're going to name this chloride. So not chlorine, but chloride. There's that IDE ending again. And you think we are done, but we are not. Because this is a molecular compound, we have to actually state this number here. We have to state that there is a 4 here. In the ionic compounds, we didn't need to, but for this one, we do. This follows the prefix that we would use before, or we talked about before, which was mono stands for 1. So mono is 1. If I can write that down, mono is 1. Di stands for 2. And tri stands for 3. And tetra stands for 4. I'm going to stop there because, again, we've talked about this and we've got the prefix that we need to answer this question. So those are the prefixes there. Penta is 5 and all that kind of stuff. And again, keep that in mind. You will be given this information for your test as well, so you can just look this up. But more importantly, we need to insert this number, this 4 here. And we do that by putting one of these prefixes, the appropriate prefix that states 4, in front of the element that it is attached to. So in this case, this 4 is attached to the chlorine atoms, and that is now chloride. And we got to put this in front of the chloride. So if we were to rewrite this, let me try to erase this now. Wow. Okay, that was actually not too bad. Let's write this out correctly. So we're going to go with this, and we're going to say this is a tetrachloride. Tetra. Oops, sorry, I'm trying to move the screen here. Tetrachloride. Move, there we go, chloride. And that, my friends, is how you name a molecular compound. Just a few other side notes regarding this. In the event that you have, let's say, no number here, and it's just implied as a 1, you still have to indicate that it is just a 1. So if we had just CCl, it would be carbon monochloride, which is not really going to be possible, but it's carbon monochloride. Even though there is no number here, you have to indicate for the second element that it is a 1. Of course, if there was a number attached to the first element, if there was a 2 here, you'd have to use dichloride, dicarbon tetrachloride as your full name. So keep that in mind. For molecular compounds, you're using prefixes.